Welcome to episode 1 of the Channel Angels podcast, hosted by Joe Panettieri. Today's guest is Produce8 co-founder and CEO Joel Abramson. We discuss how digital distractions harm MSP team productivity and customer productivity. And we examine how the Produce8 software platform can help MSPs and their end customers to regain lost time. Hey Joel, great to see you.
Joe, how are you, man? Great to be here.
I've been doing great. Hey, listen, Joel, thank you so much for all the updates on Produce8 in recent months. I appreciate it. But I suspect a lot of our viewers are not yet familiar with the company. So can you tell a little bit about Produce8's mission and where you're focused on in the market?
Oh, absolutely. Well, hopefully you've been flooded with our social media posts and trying to get our message out there. But Produce8 has actually been in development for 3 years, and it's afforded us the opportunity to really refine exactly what our mission is and our place in the world. And what we've landed on is we know we can help people recover 90 minutes back in their workday every single day. And we do that by being a health tracker for the workday. And so, we've worked really hard to understand the problems that plague the workday today that are a direct bleed over from how we interact with technology in our personal lives. And we've built up those buckets of waste that exist in everyone's workday and been really methodical about quantifying them, fact-based, research-based, talk to thousands of MSPs to validate these hypotheses. And we've produced a product now that can genuinely help people recover 90 minutes back each day in their workday.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. And one of the things that's intrigued me about Produce8 is it's both for the MSP in terms of the employees and the executive management team recovering time, but also for those MSPs and customers recovering time. So I think that's super interesting, and we'll get more into that. And the other thing I always think about, just to really simplify it, me, I'm a blogger, so I dumb things down. And one way I dumbed it down when I started thinking about Produce8 is I'll often go to LinkedIn or Facebook to actually do something, but then those digital streams distract me.
Nobody, hopefully not even you, will sit here and debate that the consumerized technology that you use is designed to engage you, designed to distract you, designed to hold your attention. So whether it's Netflix just going to the next show or the infinite scroll on Twitter and Facebook, these technologies are designed to capture as much engagement from you as they can. Right. And turns out a lot of our work technology has that, that same design influence in it. So yeah, you feel compelled to read every Slack channel or every Teams channel and debold it every time you sit down in front of your machine, or you sit to write an article and you see something over here and it draws your attention, and you start to just unbold or whatever the example is, and then you come back to your task and 30 minutes has gone by. And those are the types of examples of things that we start to pull out and address. And
tell us a little bit about the Produce8 founding team and who's involved here, because you guys have a deep MSP oriented bench.
Yeah. Well, I'm super proud to have the two founding partners as Chris, two titans of the MSP space. Chris Day, founder of IT Glue, founder of Top Down Ventures, founder of ScalePad, co-founder of Fully Managed. The list goes on as so far as the impact he's made into the MSP community. And what's always always impressed me about Chris is his commitment to the space. He built a truly foundational product in how MSPs operate with IT Glue. And what did he do after he left Kaseya after the IT Glue acquisition? Was he turned around and started an incubator for 3 more products that serve the MSP space with Top Down Ventures. And he's grown those companies now to be very large, impactful companies in the space that are rewriting how MSPs are going to operate in the next 10 years. So I could spend 60 minutes here talking about Chris and his impact on the MSP space, but I can surmise it with the impact is massive, and for him to be one of the visionary minds behind Produce8, well, that tells you something about where this product can go.
Yep.
And then the other co-founder Mark Scott, has arguably similar impact on the MSP space. He was one of the founders of Enable back in the day, so he's a godfather of RMM. His stories about getting MSPs to understand and adopt RMM in the early days are second to none. And so, he, again, similar impact in his ability to vision and shape a product. And so to be able to partner with those guys on a product that can serve the MSPs customers, and to be honest, the general knowledge worker market is it's pretty inspiring to say the least.
Yeah. And listen, don't sell yourself short. Tell us a little bit. I'm familiar with it, but for viewers who aren't, tell us a little bit about your work in the MSP space.
I've just been lucky enough to be beside those two guys for a dozen plus years. So, we came from the MSP operator space. So we built Fully Managed to be a 600 person MSP through multiple M&A activities and really focusing on what's around the corner for MSPs. We did one of the first MSPs to actually adopt ServiceNow and build a ServiceNow practice. And ultimately, Fully Managed is now part of TELUS, which is Canada's AT&T is what I call it, and an incredible organization that's going to do great things for the MSP space in the next 10 years. And then I also work with Chris at Top Down Ventures, selecting and supporting various investments in the MSP space. So I sit on the board of ScalePad. I've supported over the years Backup Radar, Quoter, Control Map, and other investments outside the MSP space, but core impact definitely being in this space, and was fortunate enough to co-found Produce8 with these guys.
Yeah, awesome. Now, I bet you quite a few of our viewers are familiar with Top Down. If you're not, viewers, go out, check out Top Down Ventures on the web, and you'll see the portfolio of companies that they've been incubating. One of them being Produce8. Let's bring it back to Produce8. Tell us a little bit about the timeline and the progress of the business so far. Is the software out in the market and are MSPs running it?
Yeah, so it was over 2 years undercover, because this isn't a quick straight line problem that we're solving. We really had to immerse ourselves in the problem, and we built up and then rebuilt up the back end of the technology platform to make sure that it was doing what we thought it could do. Because this is a space that has predecessor tools in it that look and feel and are employee monitoring, and that's not what we wanted to build. We also have tools built into some of the operating systems that we use that will tell you, here's my time in this application. If you look at your iPhone, there's a pretty good recap on the time that you spend looking at that device every day and every week. So we sought to build something that actually separated ourselves from those types of technology and focus it around the end user. And we drew a lot of inspiration from the Aura Ring, if you're familiar with that, or the Fitbit, the Whoop bracelet, all of these personal health tracker devices that have evolved a long way in the last 10 years. They started out as a step counter, and that was what we all agreed was just this proxy for health. Was do 10,000 steps and you're actually doing pretty well in the day-to-day management of your physical activity. But now they do all sorts of crazy stuff like sleep tracking, and they can do predictive analysis on how your day tomorrow is going to be based on how you spent today and slept that night. And so you can wake up and make decisions like, well, maybe I'll have one beer instead of three tonight because it actually impacted my sleep score last night, which impacted my readiness score for today, which didn't set me up for as strong of a day as I would like to have. And you can actually make data-driven decisions about how you spend your personal time and how you execute on those activities. But we have this whole 7, 8, 10, 12 hour gap in knowledge around what's going on with yourself, by you have no idea how your interactions with technology look every day. So if you spend 8 hours in Zoom, like, do you feel good at the end of the day? Do you go up and are you your best self with your family? Do you need maybe to have 3 beers to actually try and decompress, and it's this sort of negative self-fulfilling cycle? And we sought to study what it was actually happening in the workday, and then where all those drains were coming, and ultimately try and give people back time in their day for whatever they feel that they would like to do with that time. And so we called the company Produce8 and not work for, because we genuinely believe that it's not necessarily about the time in, because a lot of the time in may not be quality work time. It's actually about producing 8 hours of work every day, however that's made up. And the first thing you got to do is create space to make that work.
Right, right. So to bring it from the consumer example to the business example, in the consumer example, you mentioned the 10,000 steps per day, sort of being like, okay, that's a great KPI, where we all started using these digital devices to measure that KPI and track that KPI, or a calorie counter, et cetera. So we start using these KPIs in consumer applications to feel and be healthier. Tell me a little bit about, now equate that to Produce8 in the business world, and the tracking of time and the regaining of time for the end user, for the MSP employee and or the customer of the MSP. How are they regaining time? What are they tracking?
Yeah, well, first I'll start with breaking down the problems. And so we really see 5 key areas of time that can be studied to start. And so, the first is, as I mentioned earlier, that our work technology is designed to distract us. So up to 50% of our work week is consumed by meetings or non-productive apps that just kind of drain our time and energy. And so we've seen this as we've talked about pattern in our personal lives, and now we're seeing it in our work life. And then we're constantly task switching. So we've talked around this topic as well. But on average, the average worker loses less, or the average worker spends over half an hour a day just meaninglessly switching between tasks. And so, there you go. There's a little bit of time back there, but also the refocus time. So I'm working on this thing, and then I'm jumping over and scrolling through here, and then I've got to refocus on that task. It takes an average of 10 minutes just to refocus on a task. So we're not going to claim that it's 36 minutes and then 10 minutes for each time you task. No, those numbers will be astronomical, but we know that there's a percentage of that can be gained back. And then we talk about over collaboration. So, teams like Slack and tools like Slack and Teams, they're super valuable. But we spend over 90 minutes a day on average in those tools. And that's spread across over 150 interactions. And so it fragments our day. And when you see your timeline for the first time and you see how many times you're diving in and out of these tools, it starts to paint a really interesting story. And then the last kind of point around time that we really hone in on is that employee burnout. So the average user that's starting to feel burnt out can lose up to 20% of their daily effectiveness just by being burnt out. And most often the cause of this burnout is all these tools and technologies that are layered on top of the workday. And so again, it's this self-fulfilling cycle of just time that gets drained, this leaky bag of your day that just drains out and leaving not a whole lot of time left over for great work. And then, as you study all of this stuff, you can just sort of start to see patterns, and working on the wrong things in the wrong order has a massive impact on your daily effectiveness as well. So we start to study all of those. We have studied all of those as problems, and then built a solution to actually help identify what that looks like in a workday. And it's not an overly complex solution, Joe. The onboarding to the product is like less than 10 minutes. So it's not like this, I'm going to install this thing, and then a year from now, I'll have recalibrated my day and run all these initiatives as an organization to get all this time back. It's like you install it, you look at your day yesterday, and you say, holy crap. And then you start to make little micro adjustments to that, to your day. And so you have some really simple, straightforward four scores around what your day looked like yesterday. You have an understanding of where your time has gone. And you look at that, and it's all privacy driven. So that's your data for you. And there's no, your manager peeking in on it. There's no, this is what it looks like for every individual across the organization. Sure, there's lots of team activities that you can do once you opt into sharing information and studying work and running initiatives as an organization. But, that's like when you use Excel, are you using, the back 80% of it or the top 20% of it? You're probably building a spreadsheet. And that's what we want people to use the product for first, is to just understand their personal relationship with technology through their workday in a this is me way, and then start to build on top of that once you have an understanding of that. Because right now we all do operate with our head in the sand around what's going on around us in the workday. We just allow the workday to drive us as opposed to taking control of how we spend our workday and actually and executing a day against that intention.
Got it. And you know, it reminds me a little bit of so you're giving people visibility into how they've spent time. It's almost like in the consumer market, you become aware of how much food you're consuming, how much exercise you're doing or not. And then to your point, this is not a one size fits all in terms of each employee. There may be an optimal mix of how they spend their day, and that might be slightly different than the employee sitting in the cube next to them, et cetera. So
Yeah.
you're not professing a one size fit all here. It sounds like you are professing gather the right data, give the employees visibility to that data so that they can course correct in terms of how they're spending their day.
Well, just like, my metabolism is probably not the same as yours, Joe.
Mhm.
I see you out there running and doing your things to promote it. Our work days probably look a whole lot different as well.
Right.
And we have, very different roles. But two people doing the same job, they may have very different looking work days as well. And we don't want to necessarily put them side by side. Until they've got comfort around what does my day look like, because it's a very personal thing how you spend your day, even if you are looking for guidance and support from your manager on how you should be spending your time. The first time you see it, you want to see it and understand it for yourself, because it's your personal journey with your with technology in your role. That's why we start by just saying, look at the app and understand your workday. And then you can create a team, and you can decide just two of your service desk technicians want to create a team and work out loud beside each other and say, this is how we spend our time. And then you start to see really interesting things, like maybe your low performer on the service desk and your top performer on the service desk days look very different, because one of them doesn't know how to do something, so they're never doing that thing. The other one is, maybe never been trained in it, but figured it out on their own. And so you can start to see that in their workflow, start to see that in their time spent in various apps. And a good use case that we always like to pick on is just using the documentation system. We all
Mhm.
know that you can be a much more efficient technician if you're using the documentation that's been built. Um, and that's a very surface level observation that an individual can make just by pulling up their screen and sharing it with somebody, not because they're going to be told you're not doing this and so do that. So we like the application's personal use for one-on-one meetings where you can actually bring that to your manager and say, here's what my day looks like. Does this look right to you? Help me out. What's not working here? And have, facilitate that conversation.
Got it. Got it. And just to clarify, I already know the answers, I think, but I want to make sure our viewers know the answers. Number one, software is real today. It's out in production. And number two, it's multi-tenant so that it's not only for the MSPs, but also for the end customers. Are those 2 points accurate? Where are you in the market now?
100%. We've got hundreds of customers on the platform, so we've got great data around, where we're building next, what's really working well, and how to actually bring this product into an organization successfully and get the maximum amount of benefit in the shortest amount of time. It's driven a lot of roadmap decisions, like enhancing our onboarding and building the partner center so MSPs can actually successfully bring this through to their customers. What we're seeing out there is just great adoption by on the mobile app here. So that's a game changer um, for the product. Was the last release 2 weeks ago when we finally pushed the mobile app out there into the market. It allows people just that really no friction interaction with their data, and they can use it like they would a personal health tracker. So we find users opening that app every single morning, spending less than a minute in the app every day, and getting this value back, and making these observations about their day. We don't, the 90-minute claim, let's be clear on that. We build up to that. So the first thing that you're going to do is, study your own personal work patterns and give this to everybody in your organization so they can have a level of awareness around what's going on in each of their work days. It's a very unintimidating process. It's a very lightweight onboarding, and then you're able to disseminate that visibility for every user in your organization and their workday. But then you can evolve, like I said, you can go through the product and study great teams similar to a channel, like you would a channel in Teams,
Mhm.
and study work as a team, as a group. Doesn't have to be across the whole organization. Could just be the service desk team, or the finance team, or the marketing team, and then you can build it out from there. Study individual apps, all sorts of great stuff, but always bringing it back to the let's empower our people through data.
Got it. Okay. And you made the point earlier in terms of, hey, this is turned on. MSPs are able to integrate it into their businesses. And you use that keyword integration. Sometimes when people or MSPs hear about new software platforms in the MSP market, that's the first question. Are you going to integrate with third-party platforms? Now,
Mhm.
you guys don't have that challenge, do you? This thing just integrates automatically. What's the strategy here?
Yeah, we integrate with everything. So that's kind of the beauty of it, is there's not this cumbersome API connection layer where it's got to connect to a bunch of different things as they step out. Um, the reality is this is something that you install, set up the work applications that you use, and then let it go. And people can, add and remove applications on an individual level as they see fit. But once your core business applications are set up, which is 2 clicks, you're good to go. So the integration approach is much different than traditional high overhead integrations.
Got it. Okay. Now you and I are speaking, what is it here? October 24th, 2023. So it's been roughly 2 weeks, give or take, since you launched that mobile app component of this in
Yeah.
early October 2023. But we're also roughly 2 or 3 weeks away from the IT Nation conference in November of 2023. Can you tell us a little bit about the recent business milestones in addition to the mobile app? And then the key messages or key themes you're going to bring to IT Nation in terms of what you want MSPs to hear or learn about the platform.
Yeah, well, we're bringing a big team down to IT Nation with a clear goal, and that's that we want MSPs to understand what we've built here. We want them to get excited about a future work product that's purpose built for MSPs. We want them to take their attention away, for a second from all the day-to-day stuff that drive MSPs and cybersecurity and automation and documentation, all these core pillars, and say, what does the future of work look like for your MSP? What does the future work look like for your customers? It's a pretty fun conversation to have. It's not fear-based, it's opportunity-based. And we want them to really kind of just marinate in that for a second and think a little bit differently about the future of their organization and their customers. And because we've intentionally built and released a lot of these features right in time for IT Nation. And those were some pretty hard deadlines that the team had to deliver to, so we could get these things out. And the mobile app is the big one. I mean, that's our North Star right now, is just allowing for you to come up at the booth, see the app working live, and say, this is my day today. All of our teams, this is my day today. This was my day yesterday. Look how different today and yesterday looks. I'm standing at a trade show booth today, so obviously my day is going to look a little bit different than yesterday when I did put the finishing tweaks on my presentation and put the deck together and was up until 11 p.m. doing that, and have that real conversation around what the product does for each individual, because again, it does different things for me than it does for my product manager that's going to be standing at the booth, different than the sales rep that's going to be standing at the booth, but because we all have our unique journey with technology.
Yeah.
So we've intentionally built and released the mobile app. We've intentionally released goals and heat maps. So goals is the ability to understand your data and then take action against that data. So I'd like to do less than 6 hours of Zoom every day. That's one of my goals. I don't seem to hit it very often, and probably won't with all this time I'm spending with you today, Joe. But the reality is that goals help me manage my personal journey with technology. And so that's been a super impactful feature that we're releasing as well as the partner center. So MSPs can get this in their customers' hands right away, and be monetizing that effort, and having that fun future work conversation with their customers. So we do expect to make a big impact at IT Nation. We're hopeful that the market that's there, the MSPs that are there, respond, as well as the all the current customers that are using the platform. And who knows, maybe we'll make the run for most innovative product or something like that at the show. We'll see.
So, for MSPs listening to this, I think they're trying to move from, okay, theoretically, here's what I could do, to let me actually see this. Is there a way for them to kick the tires or get some more information about Produce8?
100%. Well, come see us at IT Nation. I would love to show you my work day. There's going to be a big team of us there that would love to share that. But just the Produce8.com website has been extremely intentionally built to educate the market on what we're trying to do here and what the product can do. You can log right into the product. You can actually, again, we're super proud of having a mobile application in the MSP community. There's not too many of them, but you can actually just go to the App Store, download the app, and then kick over the onboarding and then start using the product. So you'll see a lot of advertising that's actually going to go geared at the mobile audience, and just trying to tell the story and do it in a fun way, do it in a bit of a non-traditional way. We've got some great video content out there as well, because we want that to be shared, and we want MSP's customers to be interested and curious about the problem that we're trying to solve, because it ultimately impacts anybody who's sitting in front of a computer for 6 or 8 hours a day. Hopefully can relate to this problem and is excited about the solution that we've put together here.
Well, thank you so much for the overview. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you at IT Nation.
Yes, I'll see you there, Joe. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you having me on.
This podcast is copyright of Channel Angels and Mentori Ventures. Music written, performed, and copyright of my son, also named Joe Panettieri.